not understanding, I guess, but like when it became a movement almost to like be.
Talk about the civil rights movement.
I am. Right if you could educate me about that, please.
What made us start thinking authority figures weren't actually something that we should be looking at? Hello everyone, welcome back to Clued and Clueless. Today, I'm actually clued in on something.
Woo!
Yeah.
And I am clueless for the first time ever in my entire life.
Your whole life. Your brain's just too big.
It's huge.
You know most.
It was really difficult to find a situation in which I could be considered clueless.
But luckily, I just have these obscure movies, some not so obscure, that just Kristen just has never seen in her life.
He sent me an entire list of movies. It was like, hey, let me know if you've seen any of these. I had not seen a single one on that list.
So these next couple episodes are going to be me, a little clued in, and Kristen's going to be clueless. And then following my 3 episodes that we're doing, Kristen's going to take over, and we're going to watch a TV show. Don't know what the show is yet. I think that's the idea, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We're laying the tracks down as the train is moving.
But Kristen.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on Adam Sandler?
Oh no, you're gonna make me watch an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't know which movie, but like, what's your opinion on it? Just your opinion. What if it's not even an Adam Sandler movie?
Well, then what are we doing?
I just want to know your opinion, I guess.
I'm fine with Adam Sandler. I think Adam Sandler is fine. But I think that as with a lot of comedians, the movies are very hit or miss. There are some movies that I think that are just kind of ridiculous and like it's grating to sit through it. But there are some movies that Adam Sandler is in that I enjoy, that I think is not, that is.
What's your favorite Adam Sandler movie that you do enjoy?
Can I look up a list of movies?
Yeah, go ahead and look up a list. And
after this, you're gonna be like, so we're watching Armageddon.
Yeah, we're actually watching Armageddon with Bruce Willis. Have you seen that one?
In a similar vein to Adam Sandler, Bruce Willis. Yes.
Yes.
I saw Armageddon. I know I've seen it, and I saw it like within the past 10 years, but I don't know that I remember anything about it. Okay, so I'll just rip my notes out and
we'll do Armageddon real quick.
Okay, cool.
But while she's looking up the list of Adam Sandler movies, I actually am a fan of Adam Sandler. I think he's actually, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, I would. I'd say pretty huge. I just recently got back from an Allenwood Draft House, like, Adam Sandler party, where we watched, like, 5 Adam Sandler movies back to back to back to back. It was an awesome time. It's so fun sitting in a theater full of people who enjoy, just, like, Adam Sandler, his goofy antics, and his friends, and it's just like having everyone laughing at these silly, stupid jokes.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
And I can see that because the thing is too, like I said, I feel like comedy movies, they can be very hit or miss, but it's hit or miss also very like dependent on the individual.
Yeah,
because humor is so individualized.
Humor's very hard.
Yeah, and so like so I can see how a bunch of people who enjoy Adam Sandler comedy going to see the movie would be a really great experience. Yeah. I can see that. Okay, I think my favorite Adam Sandler movie is 50 First Dates.
50 First Dates?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. This is nothing like 50 First Dates, actually. I actually don't even think you're going to enjoy this movie. I think you'll get a couple of quirks and laughs here and there, but I don't think... At the end of the day, I do not think you're going to enjoy this movie.
Okay, so I don't think it's uncut gems then that you're going to make me watch.
So this, in comedy range, right?
Yeah.
I would say this is kind of like the middle of the pack.
Okay.
Really. I'll say this. If I had a nickel for every time Adam Sandler was in a football movie, I would have 2 nickels.
A football movie?
Which isn't a lot, but it's very strange that it's happened twice. So today, we're going to be watching The Longest Yard, the 2005 remake of the Burt Reynolds The Longest Yard from 1973.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a comedy?
It is a comedy.
Okay.
But this is a different comedy from Adam Sandler. I want to say it's more, he plays very like leveled, it's not like over the top Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And this is after like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore and stuff like that. I think it's right before like Anger Management and Grown Ups and stuff like that.
Okay.
So let me go to my notes real quick. This came out in 2005.
Okay. What were we doing in 2005? How old were we in 2005? 9?
Maybe.
Yeah, we were 9.
That's quick math. I mean, I'm agreeing with you if you're saying that.
Well, we were born in 96.
Yes.
And 2005. It's not hard math.
It's quick math. So let me give you a rundown of what the description of the movie is. If we just picked it up off the back of a shelf, we're exploring Blockbuster.
Uh-huh.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so disgraced pro football player quarterback Paul Crew, Adam Sandler.
He plays the football player.
He does play the football player.
I thought he was going to be like the coach.
Oh, you wish. He lands in jail where manipulative warden Hazen, James Cromwell, recruits him to advise the Institute's team. This turns into a lead role quarterbacking a crew of inmates in a game against a team of prison guards. Aided by ex-NFL coach Nate Scarbaugh, which is Burt Reynolds. Oh. Crew and his team must overcome not only the bloodthirstiness of the opposition, but also the corrupt officials trying to fix the game against them. So reading that, right, I don't get comedy from that at all. I feel like it's playing a straight like drama.
Yeah. I think this movie's gonna make me cry based on that description. Cry? I think so. But now that being like, I cry easy. Uh-huh. I cry very easily at many things, and the description. I like a good sports movie. I played sports growing up. I like a good yes.
Oh, you did. You're a pro basketball player.
Yeah,
he has a basketball movie also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What the
Very
heck is
recent. I need to watch it, but
why is he doing this? Anyway, it's like alternate universe Adam Sandler. But I like a good sports movie. I get very invested in rooting for the team and rooting for the players. And I think just based on that description, my brain is already taking a deep dive.
Okay.
And so with the layer of like it's a sports team, that already kind of I feel like has a foundational level of emotion for me, and the fact that it's also like in the prison system and it's against the prison guards, I feel like I might cry.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna have more to talk about that after the movie. I feel like you're really going into this thinking it's gonna be a good Blind Side kind of movie.
I don't think it's gonna be a Blind Side kind of movie. I think that I get invested into things easily, and this sounds like something I will be invested in.
Okay, it's gonna be very interesting then to see your reaction. I will say there is one person in here in this movie in particular that you're gonna be like, why are they in this movie?
Really? Okay. Yes. Are they a cameo or they're like a character?
They're a character.
Okay.
Very shortly, but they're a character. Mm-hmm. So, going back to my notes real quick. Anything crazy that I want to say now before? No. It had a budget of $82 million. Worldwide, it made $191 million.
Okay.
I want to say, this is the people's movie. Because on IMDb, right?
Yeah.
Don't look up anything about this movie.
Oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't. I was about to do IMDb because I wanted to see where it was in his credits, but you're right.
But on IMDb, right?
Yeah.
This has a 73% user score.
Okay.
They like it, They're like, okay, it's good.
That's pretty high.
On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 32%.
Ooh.
So, I feel like actual critics don't really like it. And I do have a quote that I'm going to read later.
I take critic reviews with a lot of salt. Because I think that sometimes, not always, but I think that it is not uncommon for critics to just enjoy critiquing. And so because there's so many movies that I really like that critics just have ripped apart. So I don't know.
But in saying that, I don't know. Let's go ahead and watch The Longest Yard 2005 remake starring Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Burt Reynolds, and Nelly. And welcome back, everyone. We just finished watching The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler and crew. Kristen, you don't gotta go too in depth, but what are your first thoughts right off the back? Like the movie? Indifferent about the movie?
I liked it a lot.
I knew I was gonna like it. I knew that I was going to shed a few tears, which I only shed a couple. Just a couple, but I did. But I liked the movie. I like team movies. I like sports kind of movies. It made me miss being on teams and playing sports a lot. But yeah, it really pumped me up. I enjoyed the movie.
Nice.
I'm glad that you picked that one. That was a good share.
This is the first movie.
Yeah. Why did you pick that one?
Just because I like Adam Sandler, and I was just thinking of movies, and I was like, well, what's a fun movie that I know you have never seen, obviously, just from my list, but I was like, I feel like Adam Sandler is, like, funny in this movie, like I said earlier, but not being over the top like Adam Sandler. And I was like, I just think you'd enjoy this movie. I know I said you wouldn't like it, but once you said your whole team thing, I was like, okay, well, maybe she will actually like it. That's just why. So here's a quick little recap of the movie. If no one's ever seen it, I will spoil the movie a little bit. So pause now and go watch if you don't want it spoiled.
But maybe don't listen to this episode.
But Paul Crewe, Adam Sandler, former football player who threw a game. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure it was like the Super Bowl. Never got charged for it or anything like that. Goes on this drunken kind of rage after his wife, Courtney Cox, which, surprise, Courtney Cox is here, and gets sent to prison. When there, the warden wants him to basically coach their team, just give them new life or something like that. And he's like, well, what you need to do is just play against the worst team. So the warden goes ahead and makes him the quarterback for the prison team now. And so they go and they start building this team. Not so good, but, you know, they start to bond. They start to mold into a good team, you know. Nothing like a NFL pro team, even though we got a couple NFL stars and wrestling stars on their team. But then, as they're really feeling their groove, you have the sad loss of Caretaker, played by Chris Rock, who is killed by Ergen, whatever his name is. Something like that. This rat person.
Yeah.
He kills Caretaker, and that really pulls the team together, because now they were like, okay, now we have more to play for than just beating up the guards. So come game day, they start playing, everything's going good, they go in the half, all tied up, then the warden pulls Adam Sandler to the side, and is like, hey, throw this game or I'm pinning the death of Caretaker on you. So Adam Sandler is like, oh my God, not again, not being put in this scenario again of having to throw the game. And he starts to do it, and his team just trusts him at that point. They're like, same old, nothing's changed, you're just a backstabbing, think about yourself kind of guy. And it isn't until he realizes that this means more to the team than the team is bigger than him. And he comes out there and starts playing for them instead of himself. And they go on to win the game. And that's the movie. That's a very brief concept, bottled down of the movie. But I think everyone should go see it. I think it's a fun movie. And I have something for you.
Okay.
Before we go into more talk and all your notes that you wrote.
Okay.
So, Roger Ebert rated this movie back in 2005. And he gave it a thumbs up, you know, he gave it 3 stars. I read his review of it. I think he regretted giving it 3 stars because he was about to go to Cannes Film Festival right after that. And he was like, oh my God. So it was a pre-recorded video that he made for this movie. Gave it a thumbs up. He's like, yeah, go watch it in theaters. And he was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that after I was about to see all these great movies and everything. But now people are going to take my opinion. But, you know, he didn't back down. He's like, you know what? It is a good movie.
Yeah.
If there's something better, obviously go see that.
Yeah.
But he said, I said what I sincerely believed at the time. I believed it as one might believe in a good cup of coffee. Welcome while you're drinking it, even completely exorbitant, but not much discussed 3 weeks later.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Which I think is... Well, no, I'm not going to say that, actually. I think that's... Well, because I was going to say I think that's true of a lot of sports movies, but I actually don't think that that's true. I think maybe sports comedy movies.
Sports comedy movies?
Yeah.
Something you'll just like, oh, okay, that was fun.
Like, it's cool in the moment, but then it subsides.
I know one.
Like, I won't be talking about this in 3 weeks.
I know one thing he definitely said about it is like, Adam Sandler as quarterback is like the most unbelievable thing about the whole movie. And so he's like, but if you're gonna get into this movie, you just have to believe that he is a quarterback.
Yeah. You know what I didn't like? And I don't know if you had any feelings on this. I didn't like how much taller than Adam Sandler the warden was. I don't know if you had any feelings about that, but that really bothered me.
The height difference between them?
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
It was so significant.
It just plays in how much of a authority figure he is.
I didn't like it. Usually yes, but then it just made... Because, yeah, especially in, like, establishing shots and this and that, whatever, like, I can see that. But I think having them a little bit... I think you could have done that with camera tricks, where, like, someone who's just a little taller than Adam Sandler, you can kind of get the shot where the power is obviously in that person's corner. But it made the scenes where Adam Sandler is standing up for himself a little weird for me. Because, you know, like, at the end, he's talking to him in, like, the locker room or whatever, and he's like standing up to him, but his face was like here, like he was so much smaller than he was, and he was trying to be really determined, but it just like it hurt the way that it read to me. And I think that they, even with that really intense height difference, they could have shot it in another way that made it seem like the little guy is standing up to the big guy, and they just didn't do that. It just looked awkward to me, and I didn't like it.
I could definitely see that, and I definitely think that's what Roger's also getting at when he was saying, like, you have to believe that, like, suspend your imagination for a second, and you have to believe that Adam Sandler is, like, the quarterback of the team. Because even, like, with all the players, he's still, like, the smallest dude out there. Like, I think the only person that's smaller than him is Brucey.
But are quarterbacks typically
Quarterbacks
big?
are typically...
Are they tall?
Like 6'2", 6'3".
Oh, okay. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Quarterbacks are pretty big guys.
Okay.
You know, I don't think Adam Sandler... I don't know
I guess
how tall
I think of them as small because they're skinnier, but they're tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, in saying that, at the beginning of the movie, Adam Sandler going on his little drunken rampage
Escapades.
is one of the more realistic parts of how many pro football players have gone ahead and done that.
Yeah.
Not unrealistic, though, is him being a quarterback, because quarterbacks don't typically do that. It's mainly like wide receivers, running backs.
Get DUIs?
Yeah.
Quarterback.
Marshawn Lynch just did it not too long ago. You don't see many quarterbacks in the news for stuff like that.
I
guess.
guess.
They get paid the big bucks, so they don't have to do that. But he's a disgraced, football player.
Yeah, exactly. But, I think, because I think that at the beginning it was supposed to establish him as, like, an unlikable character. Like, this guy who's, like, a washed-up jock who just, like, thinks he's above the law and has no regard for himself and has no regard for the people around him. Which, like, I felt bad for him at the beginning. And I think that it was supposed to, again, make him unlikable and maybe not make you feel bad for him. But I felt bad because it was just so clearly like somebody who is just is so desperate for any sort of feeling,
Yeah.
for like any sort of excitement in their life. And it was a cry for help, I'd say.
I think it definitely was, because even the warden says it, like, near the midway point of the movie. He's like, you haven't made a phone call, you haven't got any calls, you haven't got any letters.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you care about this team
Yeah.
now? You're calling them your players?
Yeah.
So, like, in a weird way, getting sent to prison, he did find, like, people that he can call friends.
For sure.
Because it's like, you have, like... this movie's so funny, because they make this, like, one football game mean the entire world.
Yeah.
You have, like, everyone in the United States who's like hates him or something like that. I was like, okay, it's a little dramatic, I guess, like, throwing, Vegas bets and all this, it could be a big deal, but it's like everyone like hates him.
Yeah.
And so you have to really believe everyone cares that much about football. Yeah. That's funny, but
I wish that we had more backstory of,
and that's an issue I had. Yeah,
I wish that I knew more about, like, who he was before this big thing happened. And then also, like, well, just, like, tying into that, like, who he was to the world, to the United States. Nobody outside of the United States cares about football. But, like, who he was to the United States and, like, who he was as a person. Because has he always kind of been, like... you know, this kind of like just whatever kind of attitude and like very selfish or whatever? Or like, was this something that developed because of like the situation and what happened to him and like, you know, him losing his career and this and that, whatever? Like, I wish that I had more backstory on him. He was very one-dimensional, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like when we first meet him, he's kind of just this washed up player at that point. We don't really know if he, like you said, he was a good guy because of what... Because he slightly explains. He got into it with bad people, owed people money, I guess, and that's why he had to do it or they're
But we
kill
get it
him.
in like one sentence.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing I hated. It was like one sentence.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that's it.
And I think it would have been more interesting. I was also unsatisfied with what the one sentence was with that backstory, because I feel like it would have been so much more interesting if like it did kind of fall in a moral gray area and he like... Because in my brain, I was like, oh, someone just offered him a lot of money. Yeah. And he sold out his team. And I think that, like, putting it in, like, that kind of situation or, like, a moral gray area or something like that would have been so much more interesting than, like, someone was literally threatening your life. Because it's like, okay, then of course you threw the game. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, you didn't even... It felt like it took away the character growth that I thought was there. Because it's like, okay... You weren't a bad guy before, necessarily. You didn't sell your team out for nothing. Your life was literally on the line. So, like...
They definitely sure wrote it as, like you said, a money thing. Like, he just did it for the money.
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, it makes it seem like, okay, you're just kind of being a dick to be a dick.
Exactly.
And, like, yeah, I guess you can't theoretically go out and tell the world, hey, these people are trying to kill me, because you'll probably die from it. But it's just like... Why are you acting? I guess because, like, you know, you have everyone turn their backs on you. But it's still...
I just didn't like... I thought that was... The writing could have been better there. It took away the character growth that I thought we were seeing. Mm-hmm. Because it was like, okay, you didn't grow from anything. You just... Of course, that's what you did. Yeah. That's what I would do. That's what I think anybody would do. I'm not picking football over my life. So, yeah, I don't know. That was my opinion there.
How do you feel about the small little cameo of Monica?
I was so excited. My very first note on here is Courtney Cox! Parts!
I thought it was so funny seeing her. She's uncredited in this movie also. So
she's not credited?
No. It's so funny.
That's wild.
So I'm like...
Why?
I had this joke earlier when I was talking to Katie. And I was like, either... Jennifer Aniston and Drew Barrymore were just very busy and couldn't just come in this movie for like 5 minutes. So they're like, oh, hey, I guess Monica is just like Courtney Cox is just walking down the street and they're like, hey, do you mind
can you please
jumping in the scene real quick?
They don't even know it's her. No, they just saw someone and they said, hey, you want to be in a movie? And then afterwards someone was like, that was Courtney Cox.
I was watching that, like, again, just very recently, and I was like, she never appears again. Like, it's not like she goes to this con game or anything like that. She's just there at the beginning, and that's it.
That's so weird that she's not credited.
That's also what I'm saying, because she's, like, at the height of her career right now.
Yeah, I looked it up. So Friends ended in 2004. She's a hot commodity. Yeah. You know? It's not like everyone knows who Courtney Cox is. Exactly. You know what I mean? So, and it's not like she had a cameo. She was a character.
Yeah, she was a character the whole, like, first, like, 2 seasons. So,
the movie opened on her. Like, I'm going to look that up. Why is Courtney Cox
Why is she not in there?
Uncredited. Who do I need to talk to?
I thought that was funny. She was very unlikable, I want to say. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think she was unlikable. Why did you think she was unlikable?
Well, he's also a pretty, bad guy, right? Yeah. But she's just, like, kind of forcing him around and be like, okay, you're just gonna... She was basically like, I own you, is like, on this sense.
Yeah,
because she has, like, all the money at this point in this relationship.
Yeah.
It's not like he's bringing any kind of money.
See, but this is, again, I wish we had more backstory.
Exactly.
Because, like, obviously there is a big party. He's been given an outfit. Yeah, his little sailor outfit. Obviously there was some sort of plan for him to attend whatever event this is. And I would be pissed if I went upstairs after I have probably planned all of this. Yeah. And I have spent money on this. And we don't know what the event is. Literally zero information in this movie on pretty much anything. Like, if I went upstairs and then my husband was just drunk on the bed watching reruns of, like, his old football games, I'd be upset. I'm going to say it. I would be angry. Yeah. So, That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying?
Because why? I don't know. Everyone is, okay, I hate the internet.
we'll have to come back to that.
Well, people are like on the message board, on this film message board, talking about why isn't she uncredited? And it literally says, why did she go uncredited in this movie? Because her character was a B word, as if we wouldn't recognize her, blah, blah, blah. And then someone, I don't know why she was uncredited, but for crying out loud, her breast should have gotten more recognition. I hate the internet so much. This whole entire message board is like, Courtney's hot, she should have been credited because she's hot.
What year are those messages from?
14 years ago.
Oh my god. So like around like the 2005, or not even, what the heck?
2008.
2008. That's kind of, yeah. It is what it is. I don't know why she wasn't credited for that. Like I said, at the height of her career.
Yeah, that's really weird.
But sorry, Courtney. If you're watching this, you should have been for someone at the height of their career. Honestly,
Courtney, I know you're listening to our podcast.
I know you are.
And I want you to know, I thought your performance was incredible, and you deserve more credit. Anyway,
for a almost 15-year-old movie or something.
Exactly. Like so anyway, we're excited for you to be on the podcast next week.
We can talk about the Scream franchise.
Yes. Okay, now I did look up the director. The director was Peter Segal.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, his other movies that he has directed is Get Smart, that I was telling you about, and also 50 First Dates.
And Anger Management.
Yeah, well, irrelevant to my conversation.
Well, it's true.
Get Smart, which I was talking to you about because that guy, what's his name?
The Great Khalid.
Yeah, the Great Khalid.
Yeah.
The Great Khalid was
Lee.
Oh, Great Khalid is in Get Smart, and then I said I like 50 First Dates, so
it all ties up somehow.
Yeah. Well, the comedy circles are so small. You know what I mean?
Well, when it comes to Adam Sandler, I would definitely say this. Get Smart's not an Adam Sandler movie. I know that. But it's like, I know Adam Sandler loves to use, like, just his friends. Like all at the same time.
Yeah, but I feel like the comedy circle, like, it's just the same people that always pop up. And it's because they're all friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's and, you know, there's different circles, but I feel like there's like really only like 2 circles, maybe 3. Like, it's, you have the Adam Sandler circle, which is going to be Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, David Spade, Chris Rock, probably Kevin James.
Definitely Kevin James.
Yeah, like that. There's that group, and then there's like Tina Fey, Amy Poehler. Like, would you put Melissa McCarthy in that group? Yeah, I would. No, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler is going to be like the SNL crew. You know what I mean?
Well, in saying that, you're just naming SNL characters at this point, because Adam Sandler and his run, all the people you just named are all on SNL from Adam Sandler, besides Kevin James, maybe.
They were all on SNL?
Mm-hmm.
As
SNL, like, actual, like, people.
Didn't know that.
No, Marino?
Literally didn't know that at all. Truly clueless.
Adam Sandler, before he, like, became this huge movie star, was, like, a huge on SNL.
I didn't know that. Okay, so I guess Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, who would be in that group, though? Because I don't think that she's in those other groups that I just mentioned. The Kevin James one.
No. I think they're on their own, honestly.
Just those two? They're kind of like a duo.
They're basically like a duo, if anything.
Okay, and then there's
they're not in a lot of movies.
Kristen Wiig in that group, which is like Kristen Wiig. What's that other woman's name who's in Bridesmaids with her?
Melissa McCarthy?
Maya Rudolph.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would put her in the Tina Fey group.
I think she switches a lot.
But let's get back to...
no, let's dissect it. Anyway, basically, I think comedy circles in Hollywood are very small. And I think that it's a lot of recycled people. And I feel like it would be really difficult to break into comedy movies because of that.
Well, like we talked about earlier, comedy is very subjective.
Yeah.
Not everyone thinks everything is funny. You had some laughs during this. You thought some things were funny.
I did. But, I chuckled a couple times. Although I did make a note that I thought the humor was lazy, so we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yes. It is very dated humor, I will say.
Well, not even just that. It's like the whole beginning of the movie. It got better. It got better, like, in the second half of the movie.
I would say in the second half it got less funny and became more a little serious.
Well, okay. I disagree.
Oh, okay.
But here's my thing. So at the beginning, there were more jokes, but the jokes were all bad.
They were.
The jokes were all bad. Like, and it was like the comedy. Okay, every character had their shtick.
Yeah.
Right? Every character had, okay, this guy is just an idiot, and that's like his thing. Which that pissed me off too, because he was so like, he had me. By the second line, I was like, oh, okay, we like, a big, gentle giant, not the brightest. Like, I love that trope a little bit, like whatever. But then they just, like, with his next line, then they just made him stupid. They made him like he couldn't drink water, and he says like broketed, and it's like, come on. Like, you're betraying the character.
Yes.
You're betraying like the reality of the situation.
You want him to be like actual Shrek and grow, as a character.
It wasn't funny anymore. And then there was like, every character just had like the Terry Crew, his whole like thing with the
Mickey McDonald.
Yeah,
and that was that's not hilarious.
I didn't think it was funny.
Oh,
I thought maybe after the second, maybe it was funny the first joke, the second joke, but it was like it was just the way that the comedy worked was, okay, we're gonna throw in a joke. This character, do your shtick. Okay, and now let's get back to the story. Okay, this character, shtick, please. And so it fell flat. I didn't like it.
To be fair, during this time period, I think that was like what Terry Crews was typecasted as. It was like muscular man, be just outlandish.
Yeah, but it was like that was the only thing he ever said. And that's where all the comedy came from. It was never like a natural comedy. It was just like, okay, this character's talking. They're going to say something that's related to their shtick.
When he did the robot, okay.
Yeah. Okay, the robot was fine. But yeah, I thought that was stupid. And then the second half of the movie, there were fewer jokes, but the jokes were higher quality because they made more sense with like what was going on. It was more realistic. And so I enjoyed the second half of the movie's comedy much more.
I'm very curious because I did read that this movie is almost a shot-to-shot remake of the original.
Oh, I forgot there was an original.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. That's why Burt Reynolds comes in, because he's making like Burt Reynolds comes in as like, I want to say like a cameo, but just as a, hey, look, it's Burt Reynolds from the original movie. Right. He was literally in Adam Sandler's position.
Yeah.
And I was telling Kristen this while we were watching the movie. I think like in universe story-wise, he's supposed to be like 70 years old. Like, if he's the Heisman winner in 1955.
I wonder how old he actually was.
I'm very curious on that, too.
We
just learned he passed away in 2018.
Yeah.
Sorry, Burt Reynolds.
Missy Bird. Okay. But on the comedy, I do want to say in the first half, I think that the woman, the sole woman in this movie, I thought she was funny. And I think she carried. I think she carried at the beginning.
The secretary?
Mm-hmm.
I read people were against that.
I thought she was kind of
funny. They thought it was a dumb trope of just like old secretary.
Yeah, but the entire movie is just dumb tropes.
Yeah.
That's what the whole movie is. So we're speaking relatively. But yeah, the whole movie is just trope after trope after trope after trope. Again, lazy writing. And I think that's why we didn't get a good backstory.
2000s comedies were pretty lazy.
There were some 2000 comedies that were good
right. There were some
and that were not
like
lazy. This one was just lazy. It was dumb.
I did read also on that about the writing was Adam Sandler had his preferred writer come in and do some rewrites. He wasn't credited though. It was very interesting.
Why? Why are they not crediting people in this movie?
I don't know.
A lot of questions.
You just have something that you're just getting out there.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
What's your next note, or if I can ask, who was your, I guess, favorite character at this whole thing?
Burt Reynolds is my favorite character to look at, and then I think since I know we were all wondering,
we were. Not Tracy Morgan.
No.
Okay.
Loved. What was I? Okay. I feel like I like Nelly's character.
You like Nelly's character?
Yeah. I felt like Caretaker could have been funnier. I liked his character. I liked who he was because he felt real to me. But then they didn't use him for really any jokes. It was like I just have a lot of qualms with the comedy of this film.
So you're like, after Caretaker died, wow, funnier. So that's basically the second half of the movie. So you're saying Caretaker. Yeah. You're saying Chris Rock was really holding the movie down.
But you know what? I will say too, because I don't know if this is, I wouldn't say it's a trope, but the guy that was taking steroids,
Kevin
and then
Nash. Big sexy Kevin Nash.
Yeah, and then they put estrogen pills in there instead. I've seen now. at least 2 different pieces of media where that's like a thing, where they either give them like estrogen or do something to like make them more feminine. And I just think it's really funny that when they do that, all it does is give the man communication skills. All it does is it makes them start like discussing things and talking about what they're feeling.
Yeah, their feelings.
And I just think that's funny. That it's like,
only women have feelings.
Estrogen, and now he's going to say things. Now he's going to talk instead of smashing things. And I think that's funny and interesting.
Rewatching this movie,
silencing him. Keep him in.
I totally forgot how many like wrestlers were in this movie. So you have Stone Cold, you have Big Sexy Kevin Nash, you have the Great Khali, you have Goldberg also. And I was like,
who's Goldberg?
The guy with the iguana and his pet iguana.
Oh. The guy with I was like, iguana.
But I was like, that's a lot of wrestlers. But then I also forgot that Stone Cold drops the N-word.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, I didn't realize in this movie, which I think is rated...
multiple times.
I think it's rated PG-13. I don't think it's rated R. I could be wrong. But I was like, that's 2 N-bombs. It's like back-to-back.
It was 2005, you know?
I guess you...
Not that it's ever okay, but it was... In 2005, it was more like... Oh yeah, it's just part of the movie. That's what the character
It is definitely also a prison movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's basically playing almost like, kind of like this, not like a white supremacist, but definitely...
I would definitely say a white supremacist. Or at the very least... Well, where's the spectrum between white supremacist and just blatant racist? You know what I mean?
I mean, they're very much...
That's what I mean.
But he's playing a very much racist character in this.
For sure.
Like, every time you see him, he's talking about, that's what the white man does.
Yeah.
That's how a white man plays guitar. I'm like, okay, well...
Which is also, like... Again, it feels like lazy... Who talks like that?
Yeah.
Even if you are a racist person, who in the locker room is just like, that's how a white man plays guitar? That's so... What do you mean? What does that mean?
Which is actually, now that I think about it, very interesting that there is no, like, black guards.
Yeah.
I think in the entire...
I didn't think that was interesting. I think that... Because the
it's
vibes
like
that
Texas,
I got... It's Allenville is what he said, right?
Yeah, Allenville.
Where the heck is Allenville?
Is it a made-up place, or is it actually real?
It sounds like it's in the middle of nowhere, like East Texas in my brain. Let's see. Allenville...
Allenville, you're right. In the middle of nowhere, Texas.
That's where it's...
it's actually probably an hour outside of Austin.
Allensville, Texas.
You're getting there.
Location. You'll find it. Please.
East Texas.
Oh, okay, yeah. Middle of nowhere,
Texas.
East Texas. West Texas. Okay, I would like to clarify that when I said earlier East Texas, I did in fact mean West Texas.
Mean West Texas?
I was thinking out towards
East
like El
I saw
Paso
this
area.
for a second, but I was like, no, it's over here.
Yeah. So see, like in that area, I can see there being not a lot of people of color in any sort of position of power.
I could tell.
Yeah, I get those vibes. Which speaking of Texas, I mentioned during the movie. There is no way that this movie could have taken place in any other location and have made even a little bit of sense.
No, yeah. I mean, even the warden says it. He's like, we only care about 2 things in Texas.
I wrote that down.
In football.
We take 2 things here really seriously here. Prison and football. Which I literally wrote that down and I was like, come on. Like, that's the dumbest line I've ever heard. Football? Okay.
2000 Texas?
Prisons.
Do you see how we hail like some high school football games?
But the way that he said it about like prisons is like, and like we do have a harsh judicial system. However, like the way that he said it, it was like everyone in Texas is just always thinking about prison and like making, and like we all take it very seriously. And I was like, it's a stupid line. But then as the movie went on, still a dumb line. But as the movie went on, it was like, okay, we are now at a football stadium with a team of prison guards playing a team of prisoners. ESPN is here. There's cheerleaders that came from I don't know where.
At a local college in Allenville.
People are paying to attend this game. It's being broadcast. That could not happen anywhere except in the United States and specifically in Texas. There's no way.
This is definitely this is definitely a Texas movie, even though it's wasn't like being marketed like as a Texas movie. It could only just take location.
It would only.
I don't think it works like in other states.
No, New York.
Yeah, you're right. New York. Thanks so much, man.
Florida, maybe. But
going back to what you said about the whole like prisons thing, right? More again, I was just looking at reviews and seeing what people were talking about and saying all that. People were saying like this movie, like the whole concept of the movie of like not so much prisoners like rebelling against like authority, but just like Maine in general rebelling against authority. It would only work as the original, like in the 70s, because it made more sense. But in 2005, that whole concept doesn't make that much sense because we've gone kind of through like the LA riots and all this and everything leading up. So it's like I feel like people have already kind of like started like distrusting authority figures like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. But elaborate a little bit more on why it doesn't hit the same today.
Well, in 2005, I feel like we're already at this point of why we shouldn't be looking to authority to help us. They're only out to help themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, in the 70s, it makes like more sense because that idea is starting to like brew in people's brain. Exactly.
Okay, almost, I see what you're saying.
Like, yes, people were making a ton of movies like that at the time, but it's like it's this new idea that people should be looking at in a different light. So much in 2005, you're not really looking at it in a new light because people are already kind of having these thoughts already.
Yeah, it's not as revolutionary anymore. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and I think that it did become like it is a very popular film. I don't want to say the word trope. What's the word that I'm thinking for?
Concept?
Yeah. To have the entirety of the movie revolve around that defiance of power and authority. And I wonder what brought that change, like, to American minds. Like, at what point everyone started understanding, like, not understanding, I guess, but, like, when it became a movement almost to like be
talk about the civil rights movement.
I am. Right, if you could educate me about that,
please. What made us start thinking authority figures weren't actually something that we should be looking at?
No, I mean, because if you think about like all the different levels that permeates, because even today, I think today, like we're seeing with the younger generations, not everyone, but we are seeing this new wave of like anti-capitalism. And a lot of that stems from the idea of like, we are understanding now that we're being exploited and that we are being, this and that, whatever, and being taken advantage of when just like, however many years ago in like our grandparents and our great-grandparents' generation, it was, your boss is like respected because they are giving you a job, and typically, and maybe it was because bosses changed too, because it used to be a lot more I respect my boss because they respect me, and I've never had a boss that I feel at least like what I'm talking about, like the higher up ranks, right?
Yeah.
My direct bosses are very kind.
You're not getting invited to your like direct bosses. Company like backyard picnic or something,
and they don't care. Like they don't care. Yeah. So I wonder when like it started really making its way into like the mainstream understanding that authority doesn't always just automatically warrant respect, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what's like really like started like knocking on people's minds. Yeah. Like, huh. Because I definitely get what you're saying. Because it's like, previous jobs that I worked at, it's like, okay, upper management doesn't care about us, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you can even, like, start thinking about that in the movie where the warden, he's just trying to be governor at this point. He has his advisor. Right. Even this captain, he's like, the warden doesn't run this prison, I run this prison. And yet, he's like middle management, Right. He has to be the one who's actually doing the dirty work and, like, taking care of the prisoners on this. He's out there playing golf and just trying to, get here. And so that's why I think you said at the end is like men are so weird and all that. But it's more of like they bonded over this very silly game of football.
Yeah.
And saw that, he doesn't just care about himself, He cares about his teammates, his family.
See, but here's the thing, too. I would argue that Adam Sandler deciding to... Adam Sandler, not crew.
Yeah, just
the
Adam
man,
Sandler,
the actual NFL football star, Adam Sandler. That I would argue that him deciding to play the game with his whole heart in it is just as much a decision for himself as it is for, like, I don't want to let down my team. And I think that it mirrors the basketball game that he played with, what was the name of that character?
Deacon.
Michael
Irvin.
I think it mirrored that it was a pride thing. It was, and I think that we get that with, like, when he talked to, I don't know any characters' names. When he talked to, it's on the tip of my tongue.
The older guy who's life in prison at that point. I forgot his name.
Like, when he asks him, like, the decision isn't, I want my team to be happy. The decision is, hey, was it worth it to stick it to the man, you know? And he was like, yeah, of course. And he was like, yes, of course. And, like, so I think that it was a pride thing. It was, I'm standing up for myself. And, I mean, it's probably also a little bit he doesn't want to let the team down. But I would argue that a big piece of that decision was, I am standing up for me. You do not get to push your weight around and just get whatever you need. You're
standing up to the man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is what then that other guy, the captain, what he sees and he starts to respect, because he can't do that. Or, like, he hasn't been able to do that to his boss and stick it to his boss and say, you don't get this from me. Yeah. And I think that then, yeah, I think that's where that mutual respect comes from. And I follow why that came, like, through the game and this and that, blah, 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 whatever. And I think it's because, again, I feel like the writing could have connected things better. Because it was literally like, he was so angry at him, and then he was like, that was a good game. And it's like...
That was a good game.
It was just like... we missed the connecting. Like, even just a shot of him, like, seeing Adam start to play and just, like, smile and nod his head. Some sort of acknowledgement
they kind of did that.
His character is starting to warm up to him before that. I think we needed to be more primed for that line, is all I'm saying.
They very slightly. It was like, now we got a game going.
Oh, I guess that's true. Then I guess it just didn't read. Because when I saw that, I didn't read it as, like, okay, I'm starting to respect this person. Now we're playing. I read it as, okay, like, we have to just double down. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Because I know, like 5 minutes before that, the warden comes up to him. He's like, okay, you don't need to, like, try anymore. I've already, I rigged the game pretty much.
Yeah.
I rigged it in your favor. No way you can lose.
Right.
And so at that point, he's like, well, to me, he was like, but we want to try, It was like, yeah, they're beating us, but we know we can beat them.
Yeah.
So then when Crew comes out there and, like, plays for himself, plays for the team, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why he's like, well, now we got a game going. Because he's like, he knows himself that he's not listening to the warden anymore. He's not just being pushed down. So that's just where I got it. Where it's like you're saying, he's realizing that he's standing up to him.
No, I can definitely see that, and I think you're probably right. That's not how I experienced it. But I think that's probably what they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. And maybe I just missed the mark there. But then I will say too, then that also then opens the door for, like, that I think also adds to why you start to respect Crew. Not only is you see him standing up for himself, this and that, but him doing that, like, as an opposing team member, opens up the opportunity for you to start to put your best foot forward again, right? Because he's been told, don't worry about it, stop playing. And, like, when Adam Sandler's team starts actually playing again, it gives him the opportunity to play back, if that makes sense. And I think that kind of also leads to a little bit of thankfulness, And
you know what that's going to lead to? Prison reform. That prison's no longer going to be as bad as it is going forward, right?
Yes. I do. I have that written down about just the greater conversation to be had about like how the prison system works. Like, this another reason why this could only take place in America is like I don't think in many other first world countries prison systems are run like this, where unfortunately a lot of people are abused and mistreated by those in authority. And I just feel like I couldn't see that happening in like European countries. I don't think that, you know, Italian soldiers or guards or whatever are just like beaten down on the inmates. But in America, that is, I think, a trope of our prison system.
I would definitely say it's more rare over there,
exactly.
Probably in those like slums of like prisons in Europe. But yeah, it's definitely more of an American thing. With, like, how we run our prison system.
It's like that's just what's anticipated.
This is basically like a for-profit prison.
Yeah.
You know? Like, the warden literally pulled strings and probably paid to have him specifically come here to Texas.
Yeah.
Because he's living in like New York or whatever when he gets sent. He's not living in Texas.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking about that. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a greater conversation to be had about the prison system, and then also about reform. Most notably, the lack thereof in most of our prison systems. But how things like this, how sports or, you know, classes or whatever can be so incredibly beneficial for people who are in prison. You know what I think would be really interesting to do? They've started to, in a couple of prison systems, not many of them, but they've started to do like acting classes, and like where they like literally put on performances.
Yeah. And
it's proving to like be so beneficial, because what does like theater teach you inherently? Like, it's teamwork, it's trusting the other people, it's taking care of the people around you, it's learning empathy, other points of view. Like, it's really beneficial for your mind. And you can see too, I like how like the men learn how to say I'm sorry like through playing football together, and like just take care of each other, you know. And so I liked that about the movie, and I think it was a good example of how something like this can help a lot with reform.
Yeah, I think that is very interesting, that, you know, it's like it's very like undertone, I want to say, to the movie, because even like when it cuts to one point in the cafeteria, like everyone's not all spread out, they're all like at one table. You know, they're all just like coming together. And it, like, yeah, it's a sports comedy at the end of the day, but it does like speak on some truth about prison, like you're saying. It's like, if you give, you know, prisoners you know, this sense of doing something that they want to do, you know, be it like just playing sports or like acting or something like that, then hey, we can actually help ourselves out. But then you look at like this literal prison that they're in. It's, like I said, it's supposed to be like this for-profit prison. It's like, that's why his whole line of like, in Texas we only care about two things: prison and football.
And like, exactly, because reform is not the goal, because the goal is always money, and the goal is always going to be money. And so reform is not the goal, because if you reform people and they, you know, and these incarcerated people go out and become productive members of society, then you lose the money that comes into the state when they get arrested a second time, a third time. And so they don't that's, it's there's a lot to talk about there. There's a lot to talk about the prison system in America, but yeah, it touches on that.
So you're writing Longest Yard 2 right now, right? Like, you're hitting it up?
Yeah, I got him on the phone right now. I'm talking to
JJ Watt?
Yeah. JJ Watt, yeah. He said he'll be here.
Oh, okay, awesome.
He said he's on board.
Texas legend, JJ
Watt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on his way. I also wrote down that I really liked the scene where they're playing in the water.
Yeah, when they're just...
Yeah.
At that point, they're bonding, you know?
Yeah. And because I think that there's a couple different ways that you could have done that scene, and they didn't do it where like they're gritting their teeth and they're bearing it, and now they're like just playing through. They didn't do that. They did decide to play through, but it wasn't like, okay, now we're having a hard practice. It was, if you watch, all of them were smiling and laughing, and like that, there was something that was just so healing about that, and I loved that. I loved that, like, it was. because they could have leaned into, like, we're gritting our teeth, and they didn't. It was just these guys were having fun playing a game together and, like, with a common goal in mind. And, like, I really appreciated that. I thought that was a really solid scene. I enjoyed it a lot.
Would you say, like, character-wise, you know, would it make it seem like they're not in prison? It gives them this moment of, like, they're just outside prison playing football.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Because I think also, again, like you said, like, it's people that are incarcerated are not dead. People that are incarcerated are still very much living their lives, and giving them, like, you know, I've never been to prison. I don't know what the prison system is like on the other side, but, like, giving them something new to do and something with a goal, something where you can better yourself, you can improve, you can work together for a common goal, meet new people, like, that has to be so revitalizing and so refreshing versus, like, just same thing in and out every single day until you serve your time. Because, like, we even think about, like, he has a quote-unquote short prison sentence of 3 years.
Which is also crazy for what he did.
I know. Every time that I think about this, like, every time that I think about when I hear people, like, on the news or this and that, whatever, people being sentenced, it's like, even just 1 year, a year is so long. Like, a year is so long. And not that people don't, you know, sometimes need longer prison sentences, but, like, I just imagine that's so many days, you know, that's so many days. So yeah, and it, again, just why it's important to, like, recognize these are still human beings who still need, like, mental stimulation and, like, who still need socialization, and it's just whatever. I could gripe about this for a really long time. Oh, and then I wrote, oh my god, what the heck, someone died.
Yeah, how that moment hit you? Did you see that coming?
I did not see that coming, specifically because I want to know what the point of that was. I understand that we need to unite the team. But, like, at that point, the team was already united. Like, the team was already, like, on board with the same common goal. I understand it gave an extra oomph, but, like, I wonder what the writing motivation was behind killing him. Like, they could have written something, and, like, I mean, whatever, the movie is what it is, but, like, I just wonder what the motivation was, because they could have done something where, like, the you know, like, they did something and they, like just hurt Caretaker really bad, right? Like, they broke his leg or something. Or they could have done something where they, like, it was a near death kind of thing. Like, I wonder why the specific choice was made to kill him. Why did they feel that we needed those stakes?
So, technically, they weren't trying to kill Caretaker.
He
was in Paul.
But no, the writer. Why the writers did that?
Well, I'm not a writer.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it is definitely a sense of, like, they're obviously trying to, like, kill the wrong guy, because it's like, oh, if they kill him, this team's just gonna fall apart. Yeah. So I guess it's just a sense of, like, again, it's just adding stakes just for stakes to be added.
But why did the stakes need to be that high? That's my question. Is I'm just interested. I would like to talk to the writer.
I think to me, go phone them up. See if you got IMDb Pro. I think you can message them on there.
Yeah, and we're chatting.
I definitely think it's like, because I think 2 scenes maybe prior to that, they have that Caretaker and Paul. They have this talk in their cells. And he basically says, he's like, "Hey, you're my, like, first real friend that I've made in a very long time." And so then you take that away from him, and it gives him, I feel like it's not so much bringing the team together, but it gives him more meaning to play this game instead of just being kind of forced to do this. Yeah. Because, like, I think they even talked to Burt, like, prior to that. He's like, I don't think we're going to win, but, you know, we're not going to look as badly. Right. And then I think that's what gives him the extra edge to be like, no, I want to go out there and win for, like, my friend. Yeah.
I just feel like the stakes didn't need to be that high. I just felt like he didn't need to die.
I'm very curious if that happens in the original movie also. I'm
Actually,
sure it does.
Actually, that's a really good question. And I wonder if the original movie does a better job of
everyone
making
has
that
nothing
seem
but
more
great
necessary.
things to say about the original movie.
Really?
Looking up reviews, right? Everyone would always compare it to the original and be like, "Well, the original's way better."
Yeah, it was also called The Longest Yard.
Yeah, it's also called The Longest Yard. I think 1972.
Does Caretaker die?
Or if there even is a caretaker. Oh,
he does die.
Oh.
In the original one. So like I would be interested in knowing like if it made more sense in the other one. It just felt very out of place.
That's what I had. I had that same thought, and I was like, I think Kristen's gonna think this. I feel like it happens very fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like you said, it raised the stakes for something that I don't think needed.
It didn't need to be that high. And I mean, whatever. If they wanted to write it that way, I'm just interested in why they felt the stakes needed to be that high. Mm-hmm. Everything is a choice, and I'm just wondering why that choice was made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Any other notes before we start to close out?
I don't think so. It's perfect timing because my laptop's about to die.
Well, what'd you think of the movie? Our good friend, may he rest in peace, Roger Ebert, gave it 3 stars and a thumbs up to go watch it. He also said, in 3 weeks you'll forget about it. But what do you think?
I'd give it 3 stars and a thumbs up. Yeah, I'd give it 3. Yeah, if I would literally give it 3 stars and the emoji of thumbs up, and I think that would be the extent of my review.
Nice.
Just okay.
I gave it a 3.5.
Okay.
Also, I would recommend it to people. I think this is, like I said from the get-go, not one of Adam Sandler's over-the-top comedies.
Yeah.
I feel like he plays it a lot grounded.
Yeah.
And it is that sense of almost like a serious role that he's giving. He's not that wacky zany guy.
No,
and
he's not.
I was like, this does show that he does have good acting chops.
Right.
I feel, even again in a sports comedy. But
I guess it does show a different side of him, so it starts to show some dimension. But I will say, in the movie, I thought that his performance was fairly stagnant. There weren't a lot of I
think it's just it's very interesting because he's almost playing the straight man.
Yeah,
the whole movie.
exactly.
When that's usually not him.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't. It was just the. He was always giving the same thing. The motivation always felt the same. He was always there wasn't a lot of growth, and that's not just him, but it's also the writing. It's also the direction. I would have liked to see when he's already showing us a different side of him. I would have liked to see a little bit more from him. I felt it was kind of monotonous the way that he played the character, but I don't know. I don't know. What are you gonna do? Alright guys, well, that was the Longest Yard episode of Clued and Clueless. I had a good time being clueless for the first time. So thank you all so much for listening. As always, Mario, go ahead and give them your handles while
while you look up your
I stall so that I can find all of our handles.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at MER_RIO. That's Mayor Rio. And if you want to follow Kristen on Instagram, her personal account, it's I believe it's just Kristen Hosty with a bunch of underscores maybe.
No, just Kristen Hosty now. KRISTENHOSTY. And if you want to follow our podcast on Twitter, we're at Clued_Clueless, and on Instagram we're at Clued and Clueless Podcast.
Nice. And if you're watching on
give
YouTube,
our email address now that we have that y'all can.
We have an email now, so y'all can email us questions. You could tell us if you like the movie, or you can just ask us more questions about the movie, and we'll answer them at the beginning or maybe the end of the next episode, something like that.
Who knows?
Something like that. But you can email us at Clued, CLUED, at cluedandclueless.com.
Woo!
Woo!
See you guys next week.
And next week, again, I'm going to be clued in, and I'm going to have another awesome movie for Kristen, so we'll see if she enjoys that one.
See.
Later.
Bye.